Morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday. Making a post. We got in case you didn't pay attention yesterday, we got banned from TikTok from live hosting. Um, we were getting pretty bombarded by Republicans. Well, really just people that we were conversing with were just not happy when they get outclassed in an argument. It's happened to me my entire life. Anytime that somebody says something and I challenge them, and then I'm able to actually argue coherently. I argue against not against you as a person, but against your argument. And when you attack someone's argument thoroughly and you're able to thoroughly demonstrate that like they're being short-sighted or showing a clear lack of education or more specifically didn't read very far. One of the things that I've noticed, let's talk about it, okay? Um, Play a little music. We're also on Clapper, okay? That's what I was gonna do real quick is make a post on social media and say, hey, we got banned from TikTok. Let's try to be. I need to be more mindful and better at sharing my own stuff. Like be your own, right? Good morning, good morning, good morning. And then what I'd ask, and I need to do a better job of it anyway, but shit, I need to get better at everything. I need you to like, comment, share. I'm gonna first post how to find me. I'm on Blue Sky, so I don't really use social media. I stopped doom scrolling, man, and realized we're just in the doom part. You know what I mean? As sort of that's kind of how I look at it. I used to doom scroll and then doom came and I was like, oh shit, I gotta do something else. Okay. Um, and again, I try not to, I'm really bad at self promotion. That makes sense. I can promote other things, but like promoting myself, I'm pretty bad at. I just want to share my own shit. So wild. Anyway, can't just share. Hmm. Copy link to post. Sorry, I'm stupid. Okay. So if you would like that, share that. Let people know where you are. Um, I've never really asked again for interaction. So check this out. I realized something today. I've never had anybody create a post on social media mentioning me, pointing them to us, right? And I think in order for me to continue to grow, I got to ask for the people that are watching, especially the people that do it every day, especially if you're one of the people that have supported me financially. I know that it's money's tight and that it was hard for people to justify financially supporting me. But if you could, in the times when we're sort of being um, silenced, if you could make a post, tell people what you're watching, point them to me, point them to this place where we discuss the news. We actually care about what's going on in the world. I woke up this morning, and you know what caught my eye first was, you know how there'd been an email sent out that Elon Musk had sent out trying to get all these federal employees to tell them what you've been doing lately, or get fired if you don't answer. And then I woke up this morning to see Kash Patel has sent out an email and saying don't answer that email. And again, I just one of the things that I can't see the Republican Party making it through this. Um, we always want to make sure we share Edwin Starr's War. That's our theme song there to open the show. But to see the organized chaos happen in real life, right? Where in the last week, Elon Musk and Donald Trump did a side by side interview. Within 48 hours, the White House puts out a notification that Elon Musk is not employed in any way by this administration and is not the head of Doge. Okay? That all happened in the last week. So I want to point out that the Republicans have a clear majority. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency, they have a friendly SCOTUS. And there's not a backlog of good legislation, well written legislation coming from the Republican Party, from the right. Now, Democrats are submitting bills here and there too. So they're sticking their nose in the fight. Okay. But I want to point out 400, 500 executive orders and presidential orders, most of which are actually illegal and outside the powers of the executive branch. Right? Morning. Okay. But in the last 24 hours, it was pretty striking, right? That OPM sends out an email to, I think, over 2 million people, and it's like, basically, tell us what you did in 5 sentences or pack your shit. And then to have the newly minted head of he's head of, Kash Patel is the head of the FBI, and he's the temporary head of a second department. So understand this. Jesus Christ. And Kash Patel is also going to be named head of the ATF. Okay. So check that out, by the way. Concurrent head of the FBI and ATF, Kash Patel. Okay. Unless jailed, that man will be a thorn in all of our sides forever. Right? Because he's getting every job ever. Right? If not held accountable. But now that I see this is pretty important. So, bird flu is now endemic in cows. Okay. Donald Trump is cutting staff. That's from The Guardian. Okay, the first article was from AP News. Ivan in the back of it. Ivan in back of Enrique at White House same day he was arrested. And of course, obviously, word came out yesterday. Rats in Cali. Oh my gosh. Trump was recruited as a Moscow asset, says ex KGB spy chief. Krasnov, by the way, uh, Donald Krasnov. No, Ivan in back of Enrique at White House, same day he was arrested. Ivan in back of Enrique. No, you don't have to use coded message on YouTube. I ain't even worried about that shit. Just so you know. Ain't no hiding shit here. I ain't got nothing to hide. I'm trying to think of who Ivan is. Ivanka? In back of Enrique at White House? Nah. Too coded a language. Okay. A lot of people are looking for guidance. Like, what's next? There's an economic blackout on February 28th. Okay. So if you can help it, don't spend any money. Trump's retribution. Oh, you're saying that guy got arrested? Is that what you were saying? And if you want to know if socialists are unpopular, consider the reception for Bernie Sanders in Omaha, Nebraska. Spoke to 3,400 people. Okay. I'm in the process of finalizing a logo. I downloaded the font that I want the American Socialist Party to use. It's Futura, for the record. It's Nike, the Nike font. I've always said like the cleanest looking. Futura bold, extra black. Um, I went to school for graphic design, so I have like eyes for that shit. I wanted a monochromatic, very simplified logo, and we're sort of narrowing it down now. One of the things I wanted to talk about very early today is about how, for example, AI does not an artist make. Okay, so one of the things that I want to make sure I say is I'm so happy to work with people. I can't express how much better life is when there's a give and take, a give and receive, an exchange, not necessarily a transaction. But for example, one of my followers and I have been workshopping logo. Um, and you got to understand, I'm one of those people that I have the brain, I do not have the hand. So I can't draw what I think. I can conceptually draw, but I can't actually like put pen to pad and create art. You would not call it that. You would call it like he's gonna tell someone who actually can draw what to draw. Um, so hey, Kat, I just appreciate being able to talk to someone. Ivan Ranklin, yeah. So I just appreciate working with someone else and shopping with someone else. And I even made a little video and showed my wife, and she's like, "Oh, that's what you're trying to do." Like, yeah, I'm trying to, if you put the Democrat and Republican logo next to each other, then put my logo next to it, mine just looks like a better version, right? Like we 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 actually did our research. I thought about what's the most significant single digit to the United States, and I think it's one. So I only think I need one star, and it has to be the eye of the snake. And I think it once you simplify your logo, I know that people are probably sitting here wondering why I'm not spending a lot of time writing policy and shit. It's because I'm not a lawyer. I don't even have a political science degree, so it's kind of silly to have like plans to write policy when you have no concept of doing so. But what you can do is nail the aesthetic. Let everyone know this. If you ever want to make something good, I hope you can hear me. If you ever want to make something good, you could just nail the aesthetic. Hit what you're aiming at, right? Be what you are trying to be, right? Um, you want to be something that people easily associate with, like a team. M- Politics is a thing, but once you realize how powerful a being it is, if you just look at, you're in a two-team race and you're attempting to be the third team in the race. Well, you want to kind of look like what they look like, just like modern. I want my logo to look ish. The way we enter races, people feel like they have a choice here. My objective is to find the most qualified people, and there's 600 fucking seats in government. And I think there are 600 fucking people that ought to be in them goddamn seats that aren't Democrat or Republican and never have been. I've never ascribed to calling myself a Democrat or Republican. I never have thought about life that way. I had too many people in my life that wasn't important to them. Why? Because people for the longest have said neither of these parties works for me. As you get older, you kind of realize, like, well, you wonder why people can't vote for Republicans is because it's all hate and destruction. And I've said, since I started on this journey, I've said the Republican Party is going to collapse. They're so prone to infighting, and they turn their back on each other and they backstab each other. It will cause people to drift away, and ultimately what they're doing causes death and destruction, and people will turn their head to that. People will turn away from it. And I've tried to tell people my whole life who have instead prepared for violence. And I've tried to tell people violence is attrition based. You're losing bodies. People lose interest when they lose people. Violence isn't the answer, it just costs people. So I've said it must be a massive grassroots movement where it is about individual contributions. That's all you care about. If you only care about that and all you do is you work to make it your party free and accessible to everyone, right? Like one of the things I should have done a long time ago, I just didn't know how, and I'm just like anyone else afraid to ask. I don't know how to put captions on my podcast. I didn't I if I'm doing that, so if you are deaf and you're watching me, I hope you're able to add captions. I'm sorry if I haven't done it, but we need to be more accessible, and accessibility goes hand in hand with equality, right? Like being accessible as a political party, as a candidate, right? Um, I'm hoping, oh shit. I'm hoping I'm kind of showing other people what it means to be a socialist and to be social, right? And to not be afraid to say, look, I made a mistake. I'm affecting my ability to get the word out when I get us banned on TikTok. But we were already being oppressed, suppressed, oppressed. We were already being oppressed. What we need is a movement. Like my little popularity contest on TikTok doesn't mean anything it did create a community. It did force me to out myself, like, who are you really? Right? It's very difficult to think about what the proper steps are. Viewer can add CC to YouTube video. Okay, that makes me feel better. But I think about shit like that. How can we do this better? Right? And one thing that we have to acknowledge, like in the piece of content I made this morning, I have a sneeze coming. I can feel it. Stand by. Sorry about that. So, sneeze. I forgot what I was saying. That was a great sneeze. Um, what are Democrats doing wrong? Well, first of all, everything is optics, right? So right now in all of this, my understanding, and I want to be corrected when I'm wrong too. Hakeem Jeffries is on a book tour. And I'm wondering, like, is that what we need to be doing right now while we're an elected official? And more importantly, why aren't more people doing what Bernie is doing? First of all, one of the reasons that I think the American Socialist Party could be successful is that its policies are popular. Like when I tell you that, hey, you could pay for socialism with the tax money that we get from legalizing cannabis. That's the reason that we got banned from TikTok. And so if my platform is that, hey, I want everyone to have equal access to cannabis and we can pay for universal health care, education, income, and housing, hey, we can do that. Bing, bang, boom, your mom's Bob's your uncle, whatever. It's something you could do first day in office. Speak. He's speaking his poetry. I can promise you that at no part in this have I thought about me getting rich. I just want to make sure I look into a camera and fucking say that. I just want you to know I have not once thought, oh, this is a get rich quick scheme. I have only ever thought, what is the right thing to do? Knowing that, keep this in mind, I think about this often. I could say nothing. I could have never started this journey. I could have never decided to make a show, right? Or to post every day on some form of video content every day, whether it's meant to be a warning or inspirational. Today I was talking about the power of trans people and how powerful uh, people, especially trans people, are. In that the president of the United States, a Republican, has a Republican House and Senate and a friendly SCOTUS and could literally pass any law he fucking wants. Literally, they could start any number of great policies that would benefit American people and get it right through. And they could repeal income tax, right? They could make it happen. They could raise the minimum wage, right? What is the president of the United States doing? I'll tell you, he's writing anti-trans bills meant to keep trans kids out of sports and not allow trans women to play trans men and women to play college sports. I just wanted to point this out though. I'm a big numbers guy. Good to go. There's 45 of them. Yeah. And they're going to a cashless society too. So it's like they're going to leave the cannabis shops holding the bag with cash on hand and devalue the currency, right? Turn everything into Bitcoin. Yep. That's why I was saying that's one of the first links I shared this morning is people say socialism's not popular. Look at 3,400 people in a crowded room for Bernie last night. Who is a fucking socialist? He's an independent that runs as a Democrat, right? But what we can do as a grassroots movement is we can easily, easily bankroll elections nationwide and treat them all as equally important and put equal money and funds and direct the best people to those positions. And think about how politics is supposed to be a, a, a meritocracy. Like you're supposed to go to people and ask them to run as a socialist for this seat, right? That's how it's supposed to work, right? So my job as the founder of the American Socialist Party is to either, so keep in mind, either support the Democratic candidate if you don't have a better one. So you have to understand that I think that the Republican Party is going to suffer greatly and has a chance to lose a lot of elections moving forward because elections have fucking consequences. And that all that the Republican Party is doing is being fucking destructive. And before they ever get their heads on straight and start trying to pass bills, right? If it's ultimately in terms of how I feel about things, I choose not to. This isn't about me. What do the people want, Cat? That's what I have to decide. What do people want? Do people keep wanting to do this shit? This electoral college bullshit? Where you have fake electors deciding the outcomes of elections and refusing to do their jobs, right? Is this what we want to keep doing, right? Or do we want to do something like ranked choice voting, right? I think that there should be multiple viable candidates that are nominated to run for public office, and that it shouldn't be a two-party race, and that two-party politics it will be the downfall of America if we don't make a great change. Yeah. I think that I think the popular vote is a fine metric. Ultimately, um, where necessary, I could see something like ranked choice voting becoming like a better than an electoral college. That makes sense. Um, but again, I think more it's about what policy affects more people. Yeah, I'm going after the Postal Service now, trying to absorb it and turn it into a profit machine to compete with the likes of UPS and FedEx because they couldn't, those are the things they can't buy. Heavily unionized competitors to the United States Postal Service, right? Which is also unionized. And like keep in mind, all this shit feels like a direct attack on me personally. My mom was a fucking postal worker my whole fucking life, and my dad was an air traffic controller. So literally, it feels like that for the record, I'm so glad I wasn't a. You're doing ranked choice in Portland now. I don't know why I read that as Poland, cat. Um. Oh yeah. I'm like I said, I'm for it. I'm one of those people. I choose not to have hard feelings and thoughts, and instead like talk to people, form your opinions based on conversations you've had, and them talk about like we have ranked choice in Portland. Oh, cool. That's got to be interesting, different, right? Because there's too many people who straight up write shit off, right? There's people that have told me like, fuck being a political party, start fundraising now, start posting on social media now, and I think symbolism's everything, right? So the first, when you first create social media profiles, who do you follow? And it's all unions, right? And it's saying like and like pride, right? And saying instead of what most people do is they only put gay shit on their social media when it's gay month, and I just want it to be rainbows all the time. Like that be your fucking feng shui. Like, hey, people come to your site and it's gonna be pride everywhere all the time. Because that's what equality is. And people are fine with that shit. Like one of the things I've realized is like when you're a child, the rainbow has a pot of gold at the end. And somehow when you're an adult, the rainbow became gay stuff that you don't like anymore. You mean fuck what? Dude, when I was a little kid, I used to beg my parents to chase that fucking rainbow down because there's gold at the end, right? You know? And then my first boss was gay, and I thought about how he got treated like shit by regionals. The regional directors, only the women would speak to him. The men would just walk around the store and hardly look this dude in the eye, Paul, because he's gay. I see how the people have been treated, right? I think about, I think about how now how federal employees are being treated, right? On a 1 year, you're getting an email from OPM telling you to respond and tell us what you do in 5 sentences or pack your shit by Friday. And then Kash Patel, who's the head of the FBI, he sends out a follow up email that says disregard our last, right? And also gets named as the head of the ATF the same day. So again, I just want to say, like, if you think what the Republicans are doing is sustainable, boy, do I have a surprise for you. And I can promise you, when you're talking about, hey, you know, one of the easy ways to get everyone universal health care? How about you just say to all the healthcare companies, hey, those plans that you offer that are for people that have Medicare and Medicaid, make those publicly available. Your healthcare costs goes to zero in whatever zip codes decide to do it. And it doesn't have to be a law. It could just be a request made by the community here is we want this. We have political leadership, right? That is pulling its, you know, politicians from union ranks. That's what a syndicalist, socialist political party would do. Is it would heavily support unions and civil rights movements. So Black Lives Matter, like I've said, Pride. I say gay shit because it's like that's what people call it. When you have rainbows on your logos. Yeah, he wants to merge the post office with the here's a unique thought process. Not all businesses are meant to be run for profit, and the post office for the record, um, it running at a profit is not a priority. It running efficiently. So for the record, DeJoy is supposed to step down as head of the post office, which is what everybody wanted anyway. But I don't think having the Department of Commerce absorb the post office and trying to make it profitable is the play. So ultimately, you have to understand that what billionaires want to do, they're doing. They're showing you exactly how you run a company. They're getting rid of things like disabled people, old people, because they're not profitable. They're not good for business. You know what I'm saying? They're literally biting the hand that feeds them. So their policies are going to hurt their own voters. That's what the Republican Party is doing right now. In my eyes, what the Democrats are not doing is they are not recruiting and picking up the pieces. Yeah. They're not recruiting and picking up the pieces and growing their party despite what's going on. It's like everyone wants to continue the status quo. They just want to continue be Democrats versus Republicans. for control of the universe. And my thought process is that the people deserve a voice, right? Someone like me that's going to say, "Look, I'm opposite of whatever this regime is." Okay? Well, they're anti DEI, I'm pro DEI. Okay? I will only do businesses with people that I find on the Goods Unite Us app. Okay? I will only do business with people, for example, that support civil rights and human rights, right? Which makes it difficult for me to be a Democrat because when I think about things like immigration and deportation, look how many hundreds of thousands of people that Barack Obama deported when he was in office. Does that doesn't seem very democratic, does it? And that's not to say that some of them people didn't deserve it, but then there's this whole thing called the International Criminal Court, and deportation is a crime against humanity. So it always makes me wonder, how the fuck are we deporting people out of a country that's stolen land? How are we, expecting to have sovereignty on stolen land? How are you expecting anything but chaos and ruin when your country is built on the bones of the people it crushed, literally, you know? And again, I want to point out that's what's happened over the course of history. They just pave over it. So my thought process is, if they're just going to pave over what they did anyway, the least that we could do is form a resistance against the oligarchy that recruited the stupid. And we recruited people that actually understand, like, we still want to be here. We still got to live here. That the end of the world's not tomorrow. I know that it feels pretty dire. Nobody's illegal on stolen land. Yeah, it's a good sign. So that's what's really troubling. It gives me a lot of hope as the person, again, that's like, I'm like opposite a lot of what the right is saying. When people, I remember one time I was at a bar and I was flirting with this chick and her ex walked up and he literally looked at me and he said, "What are you, woke?" And I looked at her like, is he speaking fucking Sputnik? What the fuck are we talking about? And she looked at him and she said, "Yes, he is awake, aware, and alive. Why don't you move on?" And I text that person for a while. We were friends for a while. And I think about that, about being awake, aware, and alive, of being observant of the environment that you're in, and saying, like, the Democrats almost seem to hold the Republicans up. There's not another viable political party that we don't really have, like, a workers party. We don't have a party for everybody, right? I I don't agree with the people that are like, equality is not real. I don't, that, I don't care about gay people or trans people. Well, I certainly wouldn't write legislature banning them from shit or make executive orders that harm the trans athlete community, which, again, I want to keep pointing this out. A president of the United, talk about the power of trans people. The president of the United States signed an executive order basically outlawing trans people from college sports. There are 10. There's 10 of them. They're getting legislature written about them, law written about, executive orders from the president of the United States written about them. They must always be on his mind. The eradication of trans people must always be on their mind. If they're not being racist, they're being transphobic. Again, it comes down to unchecked bigotry. We don't call it what it is. The media doesn't call it what it is. When you hear someone that be a Zionist, I don't know if you've come across these people. These are people that are like really cruel, for the record. Um, but they're on like Israel's team, as though Israel isn't like a rogue nation state committing atrocities all over the Middle East and controlling politics worldly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I worked security at Pride in Indy for a few years when Pride first came to Indy, and I got eventually told that I wasn't needed, which is a good thing. But they used to pay for my services. And so I'd walk around Pride, and one of the things I noticed on the fringe of Pride festivals is people stop, park their cars, get out, and stand with their arms crossed and just watch. And I'm watching security, thinking the dude's gonna get in the trunk and I'm gonna go take his ass down, right? And what I'd see them do is seethe with jealousy, just spitting on the ground, fucking mad, mad as fuck, like a bull, pacing back and forth, just fucking mad. It just frustrates the fuck out of them that those motherfuckers took a day off and are running around the park in their underwear. Not a care in the fucking world. And they couldn't be caught dead doing that shit. But they do something dumb and I get why they pay me to be here, right? But I watched them up close, like within 20 feet. I just watched their eyeballs, like let that motherfucker open his trunk, like I'm not gonna take his head off. Nope, he's just gonna seethe. He's just gonna be really mad, like disgusted, but in a confusing way because they're absolutely taken by what they're watching. It has completely taken them. Ultimately, a lot of it is denial, right? I read something along the lines of, you know, gay men are not very prominent, right? Until you get to a nursing home. And like I said, I worked in the Medicare industry for a long time and I talked to people that live in nursing homes. And my mom works in nursing homes, right? And I grew up in a nursing home. And they say the problem in the nursing home is finding straight men, which I find hilarious, right? If you really think about it, when I was in high school, I had a gay teacher. His name was Brian Schultz. He's a fantastic fucking history teacher. Not to name dox somebody, but he was a former Division One football player, a linebacker, stud, like very good looking man, big guy too. Played college football. He's a linebacker in the Division One level. Um, and he got treated like shit by my high school football head coach. Um, I forgot his name. That's a good thing. I remember Brian's name, but I forgot my own high school football head coach's name. Mark Bless. Sorry. Um, hmm. Well, like I said, I think we talked about this the other day. There was a pattern that led me here, and that was I didn't really feel one type of way or the other until on the debate stage in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump asked for the help of Russia. And immediately, as soon as I saw that, I was like, who is this motherfucker? Like, who is Donald Trump? And immediately, like I said, I'm one of those people, if you know that that happened and you have any sense at all, Russia's an enemy of the United States. We've been in a cold war with them for 50 fucking years. Okay? So if you know Russia's our enemy, you see him ask for the help of Russia on the debate stage, and you immediately don't, Google him. This was 2015, 2016. Google him, and you're like, oh shit, hey, look at um, Central Park 5, look at the fact that he was a racist landlord, right? Dating all the way back to the 70s, right? And then for it to all come full circle where an ex KGB spy chief said Donald Trump was recruited by the Kremlin and was given a name Krasnov. Like, that what the Central Park 5, the fact that he was a racist landlord, refused to rent to black people, and then all the sexual assault allegations. I last I checked, it was like 26 women. But what more importantly happened that I learned, and this is what bothers me. It bothers me like deeply, personally. I don't like think about it all the time because that's fucking weird. But I watched uh him getting taken down over time over sexual assault of women. And these are just my observations, so I'm not looking to start a fight or argue. If somebody doesn't see it this way, 37. But I watched him get taken down over time over the multiple sexual assault claims. His reputation get tarnished, right? Over and over and over and over again over all these essay. And when I first got on TikTok, and I can't find the fucking video, so I'm gonna put that out there. Can't find the fucking video. And if you can, I would love to see this video again. But lost in all of this, all of it about Donald Trump, the full circle, was there's this long-haired guy standing by the water, and he's got glasses on because he's getting choked up and shit. And he says, lost in all of this essay talk about Donald Trump, and he goes into a list of men, a list of boys' names and ages, and the charges against Donald Trump and the money he had to pay for his sexual assault of little boys, like 13 and under, on some horrific shit. It's one thing. Donald Trump is a rapist, raped many women. I'm not going to pull punches. But not lost on me is somehow he was Central Park 5, he's a racist fucking landlord. He essayed 37 fucking people. When I posted about this list of boys that Donald Trump sexually assaulted and raped, I lost male friends over that. So I know it's a big deal because I saw how other men acted when I posted it on the internet. I posted the names and ages and how much money Donald Trump had to pay to silence them. Like butt stuff with objects with little boys. I'll just say it like that. Like he's awful. Awful human being. And the perfect fucking target for the Kremlin because they can try to keep all that shit out of the media. Teflon Don. I lost lots of friends. Friends came to me and said they lost respect for me. I sleep like a fucking baby, bitch. Everything that I've said, it comes true. I try to stay on the right side of history. I've always preferred to just be correct. If you're just correct, it's hard for people to argue when you just pick the right answer and say that's what I think. I happen to think that men in general don't care about the essay of women. I think they give a whole fuck of a lot about male on male essay, and it has a deep impact. And the fact that, hey, I hate to say this, the fact that the Democrats never brought that up and never weaponized that, knowing men don't really give a shit about the essay of women. But you know what stirred people, the people that I know in my world? Male on male essay. Why? Because they don't want to be associated with gay stuff. And it had a deep impact on the men in my life. And it says something about them that something happened, is what I'm saying. Like, something happened. It ended fucking friendships. It was the most impactful thing I ever posted on social media before I left Facebook and Twitter behind. If you go back and look on Facebook, one of the is the most heavily interacted thing I ever posted on the internet. Had something like, and I'm not trying to exaggerate. I could be fucking wrong. Shit, I think it got fucking removed from the internet. But on my little Facebook page with like 700 friends, which is not even real. You know what I mean? I don't have 700 friends. Uh, I think it got like 160 likes. Like that was pretty popular for me. But just to watch the comments of men that I've been around in my life just completely mentally wipe the fuck out in the comments and just not know what to do with themselves once Trump Daddy gets outed as having committed male on male essay, and now you're wondering if he's gay or not, right? And I really, and again, I've tried to say it's all comes back to bigotry in the end. What kind of bigot are you? Okay. If I'm anything, it's I'm anti white, right? Generally not fucking with the white folk. Because I see how ignorant they tend to be. You know what I mean? Um, which is so fucking sick. Well, I think she was murdered, right? But yeah, I was thinking about that today. Cash Patel being both the FBI director and the ATF head at the same time made me think about how powerful trans people are. That you have the president of the United States in a fucking chokehold where he can only think about you. Why? It's because he's a sick, twisted, old gay man that has done a bunch of horrible shit in his life and he's fucking dying and demented and losing his fucking mind. And all he can think about is Elon as a woman. That's all he could think about. Remember how I told you I see right through this facade. I see him and Elon Musk as odd sexual partners. We're finding out part of the reason Elon Musk is so awful is because he has a botched penis from a penis surgery. So I just learned that yesterday. I didn't actually know that. But part of the reason like he's so evil is because his dick's all mangled up. And I told you I can see that he plays the maid. He's the bussy. You know how you ever seen pictures of his with his shirt off and he ain't got no hair on his body? So he's the female in the relationship, plays the maid, feather dusts the bedroom, milks the baby and shit. And Donald Trump is the little baby in the diaper, shitting his pants in the middle of the bed with a pacifier. And that's their fucking, and he's got this little baby, and Elon's apparently got a like, tiny penis, like a baby dick. I learned about that yesterday about part of the reason that he became so evil is because he has a botched penis from a like a penis enlargement surgery that went wrong. Oh, Putin's daddy figure. That makes sense. Yeah, he did surgery on his dick. I'm willing to bet you there's some state secrets buried in that 12. I think I heard it's 1,200 pounds. I actually saw it on Blue Sky and Reddit. It's a recurring theme in the last 24 to 48 hours where people are like throwing it out there. Like it's not like they're saying maybe he's this person because he had a botched penis surgery, but it's like he's a he's a shit person because of this. Like this happened to him and he became who he became. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need a grassroots workers party that doesn't bow down to fucking, you know, mangled Dick King over here. Um with all the fucking money. We need, you know, we need to hold truth to power, speak truth to power to people in positions of power, right? That's our problem now. At this point, the doctor probably spilled the tea. Yeah. So again, I want to make sure I'm not like making shit up. I saw it. Multiple people talk about it. So I can't be right all the time, but Ivanka bought coffins his mommy and one of hers. Imagine being that hated and loved. You know what I mean? I can't imagine there's a lot of love floating around that. Apparently, by the way, yeah, I want to keep pointing this out. Donald Trump lives in Mar-a-Lago, right? Did you know that he doesn't actually live there? That that's a historical site, and he just kind of set up camp, like just he kind of took over. He didn't pay for that. Did you know that? That where Donald Trump actually lives is not a house that he paid for and built. It's like a historical site that he just like took by force. You know what I mean? Like what the fuck are you gonna do when a guy rolls up with 50 cars, you know? Puts a body in 90% of your rooms, whatever. Wild time to be alive, kids. But yeah, I think the correct thing to do, especially like I said, with with the disappearance of all of the Democratic parties. Where are the Clintons? Where are the Obamas? You know, where are those people? Did they just say fuck y'all? You know, instead of being like, clearly Donald Trump cheated in this election. You know, that's one of the things that's crazy for me Is there's way too many people that have just been like, "Yep, this election is what it is, man." And it's like, "No. What? This election was stolen. What the fuck are we talking about? Why don't we have a spine to challenge the results of an election? Why are we going around the world, Joe Biden, helping and everyone else in their elections but not ours?" Sounds like denialism, right? An inability to see the fight for the fight. You know what I mean? To not see the Republicans as Russian assets, enemies of the state, and act as if and treat them as such. Instead, it appears, oh, for sure. I would just be saying it publicly. I'm being threatened, right? Someone is threatening me. It wasn't very difficult to do. I'm not being threatened, by the way. They would be being stupid. I would hunt down whoever threatened me and expose them before we ever cross paths. Much of the fight is over before we ever meet. What do they think they're going to run into when they go to Fort Knox? And I don't understand, how does Elon Musk have all this access if the White House is saying that he's not the head of Doge and not employed by this administration in any way, but he just can go in and out of everywhere that he wants to go? How does he just get in? What did he do? Did he have like his little armed deputized private security force go ahead of him and like clear the path ahead and he just walks through open doors? Is that the way his little deputized little cronies work now? Oh, by the way, did you see one of the members of Doge is the child of an ex KGB? Just gonna make sure it's there. How does he just get to walk in the door though? How does he have access without the job title? You know what I mean? I don't understand why anybody doesn't stand up to this guy. Instead, they just have laid down. I'm just not intimidated. You know what I mean? That's why, like, I don't beat myself up too much when I get banned on TikTok. It's like, you're doing a lot of damage when you're getting banned and you're not fighting. We're talking about socialism. You know. But hey, I wanted to show the protests are working. So a lot of major stocks are still losing value. Um, so yeah, I want to make sure we talk about it every day. Make sure that you delete Meta tools from your device. No Facebook threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, right? Get TikTok and Amazon off your phone. Okay. I think Luigi's innocent. I think the judge apparently spoke about evidence on the in the case and made it public information, and it's I think that's inadmissible now. Yeah, I've been seeing Republicans getting shit on in town halls, trying to ignore questions and shit. But again, about I'm gonna make sure I get this out about the American Socialist Party that at its foundation is equality, right? Equality for all, uh, justice for all. You know, the desire to eliminate this two-tier justice system, right? All the politicians still posting on Insta, even Kamala. Yeah, documentary about him. So in addition to getting these apps off your phone, also on February 28th, so that's 5 days away. Okay, on Friday of this week is our economic blackout. Okay, you'll never get a free trial, Ange. Okay, this Friday this week. I know it's a payday for a lot of people. My wife and I have talked about this. It's payday. Someone in a chat yesterday, because I'd said I got a cat with a hot spot. I got to take it to the vet. I've been putting it off, and the only appointment we could get is on Friday. But other than that, I'm all about it, not spending money. And somebody said, "Hey, get some coat defense, powder and balm." And so, hey, I want to make sure I pass a good word. Apparently, that's what you use, and it'll keep you out of the vet's office for hot spots. And I will report back based on what happens to my animals. Good to go. The cops talked about evidence they haven't handed over to his attorney. Yeah, exposing evidence. hmm That makes it inadmissible, right? So, I mean, a lot of people have been saying from the beginning, how the fuck do you have the presumption of innocence and you're sitting in uh, handcuffs and shackles? Why is he wearing shackles? How is you presumed innocent in shackles? And remember, I want to point out the billionaires are trying to make an example of him. Okay, they're trying to force the death penalty on him and trying to pin this murder on him to make an example from because they're afraid because the billionaire club is afraid. Yeah, Kamala Harris won the NAACP Chairman's Award. Yep. Nobody came running to me and said, so I don't think and she said anything. So here's Europe may deploy up to 30,000 troops to Ukraine. Oh, somebody asked me how I felt about the US stepping away from NATO and NATO potentially disbanding. I just want to point out that NATO was founded to eliminate socialism, to fight socialist regimes. So its downfall is hilarious. See, I think I've realized what the powers that be want. The people that are in power want you to make enough money to pay your bills barely, but not enough that you could properly defend yourself. Does that make sense? Like they want you to live in your car as a means of survival, but they don't want you to be able to protect yourself. They want you to submit to the state, take whatever the punishment they give you, just do your time, right? But it doesn't seem like that's fair because if you have enough money, you never do that time. Exactly, Slava Ukraine, free Palestine. It's a pretty easy shit to say, right? When I see in mostly innocent women and children being slaughtered, I don't think I wonder what they did wrong. I think why the fuck is someone doing that to those fucking kids, man, and women? What the fuck? And then I learn what Israel, what the IDF is, what individuals with the IDF are have done in Gaza amounts to a genocide, an extermination of a people, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And for the record, I would be saying the same thing about Russia and Ukraine, but Ukraine is giving Russia these hands. And so I saw a statistic the other day, and keep in mind, Russia's massive. Okay, massive fucking army. Ukraine is like 19-1 versus Russia. That's basically one Ukrainian soldier per 20 Russians. It's pretty outstanding shit. And I'd like to think it's because they got a lot of support from a lot of guys I served with. A lot of former U.S. military warfighters are have been in Ukraine. Just so if you ever wondered where the badass from your hometown's been, it's fucking crazy. 200 million Gnome said Trump spent on a DHS campaign ad. I'd say it's pretty fucking dark, wouldn't you? Cool. I don't care that they're Israeli. It's just kind of dumb. God, you ever notice like when women become part of the Republican Party, they become uglier? Is it just me? Is the New York prison guard strike still going on? Republican makeup. Yeah, I saw that. There's like a filter you can put on to make you look like a Republican wearing makeup. Um, so I just want to point out, like, one of the things that's happened since the election is I've had an inordinate number of conversations with people about crypto. Uh, here's Bybit hit by crypto's worst hack, almost $1.5 billion stolen in the largest theft in the crypto market. People wondering why I don't fuck with that shit. Oh, you know what I saw? You know what I saw yesterday that made me smile and in a sad way? There are, I think it's in Arizona, there are lots of Teslas, just unsold Teslas. Um, I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. New York Times writing articles about the protests. So they didn't want to cover it until the day of. An here's an FBI official. Andrew McCabe says Putin Trump interactions raise questions. Donald Trump, y'all elected a Russian asset for the record. With the crushed ones on tractor trailer going on the road. Hmm? You ever like want to say something out loud, but you know, like I don't want to be put on any watch list, but like for example, I didn't know who Brian Thompson was. Did y'all know who that was? I didn't even know, the United Healthcare CEO. I didn't know who that was. So when he got his fucking card pulled, and ever since then I've just seen billionaires play scared. All I could think is like, how come nobody's just taking them down in broad daylight? Like all these billionaire motherfuckers just traipse around, go to sporting events or just seen in public, like they're not fucking robbing you blind. And it's like, how come nobody's piecing them? It's just weird. It's like you idolize people to a level where they become insulated from the likes of violence. You know what I mean? I feel like anytime I've ever been doing really good, somebody's come under and cut my legs off from underneath me. And maybe that's just like that white thing. Um, but yeah, how come, how come the shooters missed, man? Like what the fuck? Um, damn. And he even set that shit up himself and couldn't even get anybody to take him out. You know what I mean? I'm beginning to think like he really didn't want the job. And as soon as he's got the job, he's like, fuck this. And I just want to point out, I haven't been able to get my creamer of choice in 2 weeks. So I know like shit sucks right now for a lot of fucking people, but god damn it, they don't have my creamer. I haven't had Planet Oat caramel in a long time. But what the fuck? So I tell you to pour a little out for me, but don't waste coffee that you actually like. Yeah. Uh, hold on. Planet Oat caramel creamer. Yep. Right there. This one. We do the silk caramel as a backup, and it's fine. It's just not. It's just not Planet Oat. You know what I mean? Yeah, the silk caramel. It's fine. I've watched too many eggs. 8 dozen. $8 a dozen. I haven't. Full disclosure. What's wrong with the creamer? Why is stock? Uh, it's the easily the most popular creamer in a three-store area. So I have a Meyer, a Kroger, and a Kroger, and every one of them you go to, you can't get that Kroger. You can't get that creamer. And what we'll do is we'll go through long stretches where you can get it every time you need it, and then this is the longest that I've went without it. Because like when we put in a grocery order, Silk's okay. It's okay. I'm not smitten, you know. It is all right. A fucking Planet Oat caramel though. It's the whole thing. That's the whole game. Stocked up your neighbor keeps giving me dozens. See, I've thought about chickens, okay, but there's the bird flu, so that seems like a bad idea. You freeze the eggs. What? You freeze the eggs and it kills bird flu? No. Oh, can you freeze your creamer? Yeah, yeah. If I could find it, but the last three grocery orders, they've not had our creamer, so we just stock up on the silk. It's a lot about the post, like what it tastes like after you drink it. The aftertaste. Sorry, words. I could frame it. I could freeze it if I could find it. And I don't want to make sure I say as we close the show this morning, this is one of the drier shows I've had in terms of like content. It's just not a lot of content. There's a bunch of protests. You know, we got 5 days till um yeah, and then Saturday is the first, and I'll be back. By the way, so my I got banned from TikTok for a week. Terrible. You drink half and half. So like creamer plus half and half, and that's all. No sugar, no sweetener at all. Because I'll do coffee half and half and sweetener. Oh, I went on their website. It's it's not the end of the world. It's just a sign that it's the end of the world. So it's like it's not that deep, but it's pretty deep actually. Um, I hope, if nothing else, I make you laugh and I let you know that there's a white cis male in your world, that I'm happily married, so this ain't on no fuck shit. But like, I really do love everybody, care about everybody. Good to go. And I really want all the things that I'm saying. I like really want them. All the things that I say that I'm doing, I'm actually doing them. You know, I talk about the American Socialist Party, and I talk about how do you get in as a major political party in the United States. You got to be doing a lot of things they're doing, looking a lot like they're looking, and just have a platform and a better plan overall. And like I said, at the core of this in terms of policy is the federal legalization of cannabis, marijuana, with the intended purpose of bringing socialism to the masses, of eliminating things like interest and rent and taxes, if the taxes aren't going to go to the appropriate places, right? Um, so again, I want to make sure I apologize for losing our platform, but I also understand that it doesn't mean anything if you're not using it. What the fuck good is our TikTok live if we're just spinning our tires? If we're not actually out here doing it? So I want to make sure, hey, on Friday, don't spend no money. On Tuesday, March 4th, is a protest at your state capital. Okay. And we'll fucking go for there. We'll go from there. And that one of the things I'm wary of is pop up protests, because then you run the risk of some idiot with a microphone ruining it for everybody else. And that's how you get arrested. And that's how you get hurt. That's how you get counter protests. That's how you get the Insurrection Act and fucking martial law. I'm slippery sloping the fuck out of that and admitting it. I'm pandering with a logical fallacy to make my point. Organized protests, I'm about that shit. Why? Because they tend to be non-violent and tend not to have a violent reaction and tend to be such a big fucking protest that the cops really can't interact here. They don't have the numbers. And so that's one of the main reasons that I'm not really a fan of pop-up protests. This is the danger zone. But planned, permitted mass protests, I'm about that. You can go be a part of that, right? And I'm not trying to be a daddy to anybody. It's just like, yo, I have to think about the risk I expose my audience to. I have to think about that. I have to be responsible for an audience and to an audience, right? That includes when you fuck up. So yesterday, again, one of the things that I'll go to my grave with is that I could have just been a horrible liar. And instead I tried to be like really honest, because I feel like we're owed this. We're like, when I say we, like us fucking poor people, we're owed someone that's like, hey, this is a grift if I wanted it to be a grift. But I hope that you see that I have not made it a grift. I don't ask for money regularly. I don't put up them links. Every now and then I'll remember to do it, or someone reminds me to ask you for money. That's about the only time it happens. That's gonna change though. Okay. Yeah. It's because they're not thinking of you as people. They're not wanting your survival. They're wanting your death. They want you to either capitulate to them, either submit to them, or die. That's the way billionaires work. That's the way they've gotten to where they've got, is their ability to like get people to do stuff for them. Am I making sense? Like, think about all the whip snappers at the top of Amazon, slave driving all those people that work for Amazon. And that's one of the rare times you'll ever hear me use terms like that. What do you think's going on at SpaceX, at Tesla, What do you think's going on at Elon's companies? What do you think happened to Jesus Christ? Can you imagine how toxic fucking PayPal was with all them fucking South Africans that barely fucking understand English? Started fucking PayPal and it blew up, made them all billionaires, blew up their egos. They all work together. David Sachs, Peter Thiel, fucking Elon Musk, all of them. People say I don't say their fucking names enough and talk about billionaires enough, and it's just like I pretty much am the founder of the American Socialist Party. I'm really talking about like this isn't even a right. I don't look at it right versus left. I never did. I went to Purdue, which is like a super diverse college. Purdue University is the second most diverse college campus in the United States outside of Rutgers. Did you know that? And once you are in a diverse environment where you're going to get your shit handed to you in everything by someone who don't look like you, and that's literally everything in every aspect of life. If I've learned anything, it's like you shouldn't be a bigot. Why? Because you're going to get your shit rocked by somebody who don't look like you. And what the fuck are you going to do then? What if it's during a pickup basketball game? What if it's at work? What if it's, you know what I mean, in the public sphere? Yeah. Well, remember, Peter Thiel funded the Heritage Foundation and JD Vance's production of the of Project 2025, which has Donald Trump's name in it 210 times. So understand, Peter Thiel is the is like the puppet master of JD Vance, and it's like JD Vance worked for the Heritage Foundation. Peter Thiel was pumping money into the Heritage Foundation, which whose output was Project 2025. And understand that part of Project 2025 is using the 25th Amendment. Hey Corey, is using the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump and install JD Vance as president. So again, I'm also a Marine, founder of the American Socialist Party. JD Vance wrote a book in which the boy becomes king, except in US government, by way of removing a king, by the way, a self proclaimed king. I'll never forget that Donald Trump referred to himself as king, the president of the United States in 2025, referred to himself as king. And I want to make sure everybody understands like this is a country of no kings, right? Didn't we say that? Anyway, by the way, I was playing War by Edwin Starr and repeat that whole episode. I don't think you can surmise that though. Okay? Peace. I'm banging War Pigs today. Think I might play some video games today. I haven't played in a long time. Oh, like firing the black man and the woman, including CQ Brown Jr., the highest ranking member of the military. He fired the highest ranking member of the military ever to serve as the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, right? And replaced him with a three-star general that's so unqualified he had to get an exemption in order to do the job. It's through the bunches and like my sin. Destruction. Oh, destruction. Burning. Oh, she keeps turning to mankind. But yeah, you'd be thinking about that. We need people that want to not only be members of the American Socialist Party, but want to run as a socialist. And I'm working to dead ass. I know it sounds really weird. I'm working to put the logo on your chest that you want to wear, right? And so as much, and I get choked up saying it out loud. Like I want to help not do it myself. Again, if I just do this all myself, how can it not be for myself? But if I enlist people to help and say, I don't, you don't even have to be that good of an artist. You just have to be somebody I can communicate with and get this idea out of my head again, so that I'm not sitting around just jamming this shit with nobody around me helping. Like what did you create? Nothing with your community, right? And so again, I just want to say like I appreciate y'all. I'm working on what I think has the most powerful impact on a movement, and that's like what you fucking put on your body. What are you what is what we're doing? What are we saying? What does it say? Right? And with respect to what we're up against, right? Because you got to kind of look like them, act like them, fit right in with them. Yeah, shows chaos and disorganization. It makes you wonder where Cash Patel's getting his information. Where is he getting his orders? Is it not Putin? Is it not? So you got to remember one of the things that we learned, right, was I think Elon Musk has regular communications with Putin, and I think Donald Trump regularly communicates with Artem Klyushin.